Alright, everyone, I'm forced to bring more truth to you like hot fire. So, bubbling pot for metaphorical purposes. There is a lot of disinformation and absolute garbage being passed around, and I think the only way to stop that is to just speak the truth. So, here we go. My entire life, I have questioned a lot of things because patriarchal systems clearly have not been helping the planet. Why is it that men do not care about their children, about their own health, about their own wives, about the women that they seem to trick into relationships, and then run around talking smack about behind their backs, but yet when a woman holds them accountable, when a woman stands up for herself, she's a bitch? Whatever's going on here on this planet, it shows an absolute lack of consciousness. So, are these NPCs? Are these people mind controlled? What the actual heck is going on? I questioned all these things. My entire life. My entire life I questioned these things. Because, and then, I met a twin flame who I thought was very much like me. And he ended up being jealous, arrogant, aggressive, judgmental, and tried to basically cast me down into lower frequencies, a hell-like reality. And it has taken an actual God to fix this. Power was misused. I have consistently been around masculines who have misused their power because they thirst for power that is not their own, very clearly. They're easily manipulated. They enter into systems and structures which they think will give them more power, but often those systems and structures are screwing them over. Perhaps getting them to do rituals that will allow entities to connect with their consciousness unknowingly, tricking them into thinking that they're doing good things and entering into fraternal organizations that are going to help them. These poor babies. If men were the actual dominant gender, why would they behave in such a way? Why would they be naturally manipulative? Why would they be so disgusted with a woman who can stand in her power? And when they do not achieve dominance, why would they misuse power to try and steal it? These things make absolutely no sense. And if you question everything, like I have, you will likely end up with information that leads you to data about aliens. Recently, I was informed that there is an alien race that is trying to claim, they're basically, without saying so directly, claiming responsibility for religion. And if they actually had our best interests in heart, why would they create religions that subjugated women and demonized women? And then, when the feminine rises and ascends back into her true and natural power that she always had originally, why would they then target these women to be harmed, to be traumatized, in every single way they can. Something is not right here, and in my life personally, it hasn't been right for years. I have been going through an absolute living hell of being run in circles by something that is not God. Because I met God in 2016. Well, in 2016, I met Jesus like, oh, I'm going to start yawning again. Because they don't want me to talk about this. That doesn't mean that it's good. It doesn't mean I should listen to that. I was doing not very well in life. I was very depressed, which I am not any longer. And I had a vision of Jesus after a cacao ceremony. That Jesus forgave me for all of my sins. I could feel the forgiveness in his energy. Look, you can kind of see his face in the soup right there. Weird. Anyway, I can anyway. Yeah, and I don't have pareidolia, by the way. It's once in a while I can see things. I've known people who have had that, and they show me things, and I can't see them. But anyway, also kind of looks like a lion. Anyway. I do not believe that I currently am not in the belief that these alien races created humanity. I think that we are being tricked. I think this is part of the Great Deception. And I really need people to wake up. I was saved by this Christ consciousness. And then I was basically rose up into that Christ consciousness. As far as I could go, anyway. Not by myself. Not because I was reaching for it without my masculine. I actually met my masculine right after that. And he was arrogant and cruel and judgmental and chaotic. And his energy really messed my energy up. But I loved him so. I went back 7 times. And God literally would not allow me to be with him because of his toxic masculinity. He has been efforting to get me back through manipulation and more energetic and psychological, etheric fuckery. After he went around and lied to so many people about me, called me the lie, called me a liar, said all this terrible stuff about me, said I cheated on him, said I did all these things that I did not do. I left him. I broke up with him. And he counted that as cheating, as if he owned me. He behaved like a tyrant. And I absolutely will not be with a tyrant. I have no respect for that kind of energy and behavior. There is a massive amount of fuckery going on. And you need to question everything to figure out what you should believe in. You need to stop following blindly people, especially when you see their behavior. Especially when you see that their behavior is not aligned with love and equality. If they behave like a tyrant, and I know, I'm one to talk because I just got tricked again by the same kind of thing. I think people are trying to help me out, and they're not. And then they try and, Judas me, basically. Well, my only guess is they'll call me the Judas for not wanting to be with my twin flame when he was treating me like shit and abusing his powers against me. This is the same old story over and over again. And there is clearly some sort of entity or alien race with psionic powers that is pushing this story and trying to create this story further. Trying to sacrifice a divine feminine or multiple divine feminines so they can harvest their energy and loosh. That's not God, my friends. I've felt God, and God does not steal my energy. The way these men have behaved that claim to be godly is not godly at all. So what's actually going on here? I think you need to try and figure it out and take your power back, humanity, collective. Because this is wrong. We need sustainability, we need freedom, and we need our power back. We need to be empowered, not disempowered. So you make it make sense. I'm trying to follow along with God. That's why I went back. I went back to my twins 7 times. Because I thought, oh, I just need to figure it out. I just need to be more understanding of him. I just need to submit to him. Nope. The last time I went back to him, he wouldn't even do his own dishes. All he cared about was growing weed. He did not care about any of the things that he was supposed to care about. And he screamed at me that I needed to obey him. Well, he wouldn't even obey himself. These are called inversions, manipulations, narcissistic abuse. And I will never submit to a narcissist. Oh, I'll submit to somebody if I found a good person. Someone I was actually attracted to and liked and loved. That actually loved me back in the same way. And I have never found that. So, don't know what to tell you. But what I will say is I have not agreed to any walk-ins. My soul has not agreed to leave this planet. And I will not be Judased by anyone. I will not be stabbed in the back. I will not be demonized. And if you talk shit to people for questioning you, you're a tyrant. If you flip out at people simply for calling you out on your shit, that's tyrannical. That's a misuse of power. Using your power against others that have not attacked you in any way is a misuse of power. Manipulation counts as an attack. Lies count as an attack. And sometimes you just have a distorted consciousness and you don't even know that you're being totally fucking puppeted. And that you're being affected by demonic entities and energies. Or alien entities and energies. Which maybe are the same thing. Seems like collectively some people are figuring out. But the same people are also still following a religion that was completely chopped and screwed and is not based in what Jesus originally taught. it's very clear that many people don't know what's actually going on here. But in my experience, I have, what I'm describing is the way that the demiurge is described. So either the demiurge is real, or I am being totally fucked with by reality. And it's all some weird experiment. It's an experiment where these same people are put in my path to keep me in the same loops, blah, 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 blah. There's no way. This is synchronistic. It's evidence of the demiurge being a real thing. Can it be healed? I hope so. I hope it would heal itself. And I hope no one else has taken action simply because I've shared my story with them. I hope no one has assumed what actions to take without any go-ahead or consent. Because if you think you believe in God, then you should know that the divine feminine is loved and protected by that God. So I would be very, very careful about screwing with her or any of her vessels, whether you like it or not. I never have wished any harm upon my enemies. I have in fact wished that they healed. I have in fact stepped in between them and death. Multiple times. People that tried to literally destroy me, either actively or passively. But that's not always what happens. Sometimes God does shit that makes me so angry at God and not understand. And I've had to accept it. I've had to accept that sometimes you fuck around and you find out. Is that the way I wanted it? Nope. No. But I've now come to understand a divine masculine warrior a little bit better. Although a higher consciousness divine masculine warrior knows what actions to take because their judgment is righteous and true. It is not something to be feared, and is not something they wave around and threaten people with. And I understand that there's a process to learning, there's a process to refining and integrating. So I don't judge. But if you try to use your powers against a divine feminine, you seemingly from my observation, you're making a huge fucking mistake. And if you think you've come across a divine feminine that holds a covenant with God, that is here on a mission, and you think you're going to manipulate her or fuck with her in any way, I should pray for you. Because you are, like, literally cruising for a bruising. Based on what I've observed, not what I would intend. You'll think that you're going to get away with it. And then, all of a sudden, you won't. So be very, very careful how you treat divine feminine vessels and earth angels. Especially if you know what and who they are. Tread lightly. And think deeply. Put yourself in their shoes and treat them with equal respect as you would yourself or any man. That's my advice. Especially these days on planet Earth. Because the divine feminine is rising, and she is protected by the divine masculine God. Period, point blank. Who is not the same as your average mortal man. Does not think the same, does not behave the same. Kind of why I've always wanted Jesus to come back, because I feel like that was my only true husband. But that's just a weird me thing. I want a righteous man in my life, if I have a man in my life at all. But upon lacking to have found that, yeah. And I'm not saying my twin was all bad. There's a lot of things that he told me that I didn't understand, and I reacted negatively to because I was incredibly traumatized, as was he when we met. But it seems as though he didn't change, and he didn't heal. He didn't want to. He was very argumentative and almost oppositionally defiant. So, here we are. I have a lot of advice for the collective. I have a lot of details that I think that you should consider. Especially if all this information is coming out about the targeting, the spiritual warfare, etc., etc. Seems like it's time to tell my story. For sure. And if they set that up as yet another trick and an excuse to have me, hurt in any way, you will know that it's absolute fuckery. Okay? Because it will be. That's not the plan. That's not the mission. And it's not my birthright. My birthright, and all beings upon this planet's birthright, is to live in prosperity, unity, love, and safety. Live in New Earth, the kingdom of godliness. So, I don't know, man. I don't know what's going on here, but I know what I've endured and what I was put through, and I know that it wasn't natural, and it was reptilian targeting. There's evidence now. Many people know about it now. Oh, they make me yawn. I just yawn and yawn every time I try to speak the truth. Every time I try to tell my story. And it's not that I'm questioning God. But none of this is Jesus. Jesus was unconditional love. And I guess, yes, sometimes that's unconditional something else. But I don't know. Something just isn't right here. I might not be right about everything. I don't know if I'm just looshing myself when I try to... Yeah. But something makes me yawn so much when I try and speak about this that I can't even talk. So, there's that. There's no way that I should be unsafe to tell my own story while everyone else in the collective is telling the same story. All right, I gotta go.